American citizens have the right to question war stories on all sides, including our own side, without being called an anti Semite, an Islamophobe, or conspiracy theorist. Here's 5 times in history, including a few that were recent history, where fake news stories went out in the press to sway public opinion. Just a couple years ago, ABC News used footage from a Kentucky gun show and said it was Syrian warfare. After getting caught doing this, using Kentucky gun show footage pretending like it was the Syrian war, ABC apologized for their screw up, but they never explained how it happened in the first place. Which leads a lot of people to wonder, did they mess up doing it or did they just get caught? The second news came out in 2017 when JFK files were released, showing that the CIA plotted to kill Castro and stage bombings in Miami. During Operation Mongoose in 1960, the CIA also considered staging terror events in Miami and blaming it on pro-Castro Cubans. Quote, "We could develop a communist Cuban terror campaign in the Miami area, in other Florida cities, and even in Washington. We could sink a boatload of Cubans en route to Florida, real or simulated. We could foster attempts on lives of Cuban refugees in the United States, even to the extent of wounding in instances to be widely publicized. Exploding a few plastic bombs in carefully chosen spots, the arrest of a Cuban agent, and the release of prepared documents substantiating Cuban involvement also would be helpful in projecting the idea of an irresponsible government." Did you see the part that said they were considering sinking a boatload of Cubans, real or simulated? Now, I understand every government has to do what it has to do, but if the Cuban government was so irresponsible, why would they have to stage an event to showcase that? Number 3, Snake Island and Ghost of Kiev. When the Ukraine war broke out with Russia, almost every account, mainstream media, independent journalists, left-wing, right-wing, almost everybody, including most Republican pages I follow, shared a story about Snake Island where they said that all of the Snake Island soldiers were killed, and right before they got killed, they defiantly and bravely said, "Go F yourself," to the Russian soldiers. Now, unlike everybody else, I didn't share this right away because I wanted to be patient for a few weeks. Accuracy actually matters to me. It turns out all those brave Ukrainian soldiers that they said died were found alive. Well, okay. The Ghost of Kiev was all over the press, and they said that it shot down 6 Russian planes. And it was this anonymous, mysterious fighter pilot. Turns out it was completely mythical. And the press even said, it's just totally fine war propaganda because if it's on the side of what your press corps supports, they justify lying, misleading, and doing war propaganda. In fact, even noticing it at one point would probably get you called pro-Putin, Russia, or worse, even if you weren't. Number 4 is the Naira testimony, or as some people know it, babies in incubators. The Naira testimony was a false testimony given before the United States Congressional Human Rights Caucus on October 10, 1990, by a 15-year-old girl who was publicly identified by her first name, Naira. The testimony was widely publicized and cited numerous times by U.S. senators and President George H.W. Bush in their rationale to support Kuwait in the Gulf War. In 1992, it was revealed that she was the daughter of Saud al-Sabah, the Kuwaiti ambassador to the United States. Furthermore, it was revealed that her testimony was organized as a part of the Citizens for a Free Kuwait public relations campaign, which was run by the American public relations firm Hill and Knowlton for the Kuwaiti government. Following this, al-Sabah's testimony has come to be regarded as a classic example of modern atrocity propaganda. In her testimony, Naira claimed that after the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait, she had witnessed Iraqi soldiers take babies out of incubators in a Kuwaiti hospital, remove the incubators, and leave the babies to die. Her story was initially corroborated by the Amnesty International, a British-based global NGO, which published a report about the supposed killings and testimonies from evacuees. So within the last 30 to 40 years in American history, they exaggerated and tried to lie us into war. But you're a bad person for remembering that, because that could never happen in America, even though it did. The 5th example is the Lavon Affair, and it's right on Wikipedia. The Lavon Affair was a failed Israeli covert operation codenamed Operation Susanna, conducted in Egypt in the summer of 1954. As part of a false flag operation, a group of Egyptian Jews were recruited by the Israeli military intelligence to plant bombs inside Egyptian, American, and British-owned civilian targets, cinemas, libraries, and American educational centers. The bombs were timed to detonate several hours after closing time. The attacks were to be blamed on the Muslim Brotherhood, Egyptian communists, unspecified malcontents, or local nationalists, with the aim of creating a climate of sufficient violence and instability to induce the British government to retain its occupying troops in Egypt's Suez Canal zone. The operation caused no casualties among the population, but led to the death of 4 operatives, 2 cell members who committed suicide after being captured, and 2 operatives who were tried, convicted, and executed by Egyptian authorities. The interesting thing about American and world history is they tell you all this stuff, publish it, and then the press and some governments will call you a conspiracy theorist or worse for suggesting not only that it could happen when it did, but that it could happen again. And in a quasi-free society like America, if you're not allowed to question things and you're not allowed to say that false flags have ever happened, or false testimonies, or false news, or false propaganda stories, if you can't say that, and when something happens, whether it's on either side of any war, and you just have to believe it or you're a bad person, then I guess we don't live in a free society anymore, and anyone can do anything, and you're just not allowed to talk about it. Let me know what you think, and no matter what side of the debate you're on, if you are an American citizen and you don't understand how tragedies are always used to take away more of your liberty, and it's not just left-wingers that don't understand this, you'd be shocked to realize how many right-wingers fall for this trap too when it plays into their emotional, political, religious, or belief bias. If you're an American citizen and you don't hold tight on your First Amendment, then things could get a lot weirder here. God bless you. Let me know in the comment section any one that I missed that you think should be added to the list. And watch and share this video while you still can, because one day, if not already, this truth will be considered hate speech. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, stay blessed long sleeve, God is great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items coming soon. Dreamrare.com. Check out the shop to support. Everything's made in the United States. Handpicked by me. Patreon.com/raretalk. For $5 a month, you can help support me, support the show. If you haven't noticed, unlike other channels, I don't work with very many sponsors, sometimes none at all. And part of the way I'm able to do that is with the dreamrare.com shop and patreon.com/raretalk. So thank you guys for keeping this show free, unimpeded, uninterrupted. I'm forever grateful.